hey, I'm turning up with something that everyone else has got. Fine, but tell me why you've got it, not, hey, it goes up in value. Well, bullshit.
Elaborate crown guard, not on my watch.
But this is one of my bugbears, is bronze cases.
Be yourself, be crazy, don't be boring.
This is a very simple episode. It's just bloodletting.
It's only 39 millimeters, because that is groundbreaking. No, it's fucking not. I'm bored of that shit. I didn't even look at the pictures. I don't care.
Shall we move on?
Cool. Hi, I'm Adrian.
I'm George.
And I'm Andrew.
And it's about fucking time that we talk about things in the watch industry, watch world that we don't like. Whether it's a trend, whether it's a watch, things that just piss us off. Before we get started, let's quickly talk about Four Pillars, the beautiful Australian gin company that have sponsored us.
Sorry, I just love how you just go Australian.
Australian? That's how they say it, isn't
Guys, there's too many. It's Australian. It's Australia. When
Australian.
you're from Australia, you drop the AU and just go straight into Australia.
Australia.
But it is a magnificent gin. It is.
Thank you very much.
Our first ever sponsor. And for that, we're very grateful.
Yeah, absolute champions. And wrist shots, wristwatches. What's on wrist? I am wearing an IWC limited edition. This is a Mr. Porter and IWC collab to celebrate the 10th anniversary. I'm going to be talking about that later on. George, what have you got on?
I have got the Hodinkee.
Just further in?
Hodinkee Snoopy Bamford. I had to wear one of mine. I mean, come on. And this sold out in 3 minutes. Just to kind of
3 minutes?
3 minutes. One every 0.7 of a second. Oh, yes.
You researched that.
Oh, yes.
I am wearing a vintage and era correct and currently out of focus Hoya Ortavia with a lovely pattern.
It's a GMT. It's really nice.
That is amazing.
It is.
Boom.
Thank you.
That is gorgeous. So, so today we are talking about trends, things within the watch industry that we don't like. George, Andrew, you guys got things that...
I think I don't like the squeak of our chairs, but
I keep noticing that.
Yeah,
as well.
that's it. No, trends I don't like. My problem is that I like a lot of things because I like the weird and quirky. I think I don't like the boring. And that for me is the things. So when you're asking what do I like or don't I like, sometimes I still don't understand what a tourbillon really is for, because I'm just like, really, it's a bit like, but other trends, I'm like.
Is that so interesting you say that? Because that is the top of the mountain for so many people, and that's a mark of, like, again, not for the average person.
Mark of a watchmaker to make it, but you can get it in China for X amount. That's the problem with the tourbillon. Is I'm like, and when I look at a tourbillon, there is so many tourbillons out there that I'm like going, and then when someone goes, oh, it's got a tourbillon in it, I'm like going, the coolest ones are the hidden tourbillons where you go, it's actually doing its stuff instead of front and center. Here I am. I'm like, and for me, anyway, I will get on to this because that tourbillon is my only thing that kind of does bug me a little bit, because I love the idea of hidden tourbillons, because I think that's the gangster move. If I talk about gangster moves, that I think is a really cool one. What about you?
Have you got something that stands out?
I just have multiple crown issues.
Right.
I have problems with the
I think
crown.
you have a few issues, but multiple crown issues.
Okay. Polaris?
I like the most issues.
Can you get the crown out, or what's the crown?
No, I'm not a Republican, and I don't seek for Australia to become a republic, but I do have problems with the crown. I have problems with elaborate crown guards. That is my...
Oh, yeah, okay.
Ooh. How long is this episode? I'm going to watch that Hoya time go, because you got to keep a lid on this one. I have a problem with destro crowns. I have just a problem with odd-shaped crowns. I didn't tell you guys all of this, but I have a problem with nipple-shaped crowns, and there's quite a few of those out there.
Which one's a nipple shape? Is that like the monopusher with the...
Well, the monopusher inside the crown, that doesn't bother me so much.
Right.
But there's a particular brand that does a very nipple like
Ooh,
crown.
I can't wait to hear about
Should
this.
we spill on this?
Let's go.
No, I particularly, the funny thing is, as we've talked about in a couple of episodes, my first love in luxury watches was a Panerai, which ironically and somewhat
that has a crown guard.
It does.
Like, come on.
So the Luminor has the crown guard, and that was probably the feature that caught my eye. And I loved the fact that you could play with it, and that it was actually quite self-soothing. You know, you have a ribbon in your pocket. George, do you want to tell people about that?
No, this is not a therapy session.
That was the last episode.
This is one of the other episodes we've done. No,
but I would play with that, and I actually quite liked the look of it. But the more I've got into watches, the more I've just become really quite revolted by elaborate crown guards. Like I think ball watches, Graham watches, sniper watches. What else? Is there anything I'm missing?
Yeah, Graham is pretty. It's an obnoxiously large.
Yeah, but they're obnoxiously large watches anyway.
Yeah, there's something that always stands out about that. Yeah, they are.
Yeah, and that catches my eye. And also, I think there's Ball has that very elaborate looking crown that again is a design feature for some, but just offends me deeply. And again, this is just subjective. A lot of the other episodes of about time we set the record straight, whereas this is really just, as you said, bugbears. But mine, I really have some sort of bizarre crown issue, and it continues right through to left-handed crowns, like the Big Pilot, the Monaco. I love these watches deeply, but I have struggled with crowns on the left side to a point where I really can't do it.
I want to touch on something you just said, that this is our opinion. We aren't trying to influence anyone. We're not trying to spread hate. This probably is another therapeutic session.
It's all about love.
Everyone has
all
something that they say, not on my watch. And this is the thing that I say, elaborate crown guard, not on my watch. Not ever.
But that's this is the interesting thing, is that's your watch. And, you know, when you say it's an opinion, it really is, because I learnt this with a customer. There was a photograph of a customer's watch up on our wall, and we have in this client room, or not in this one, in the other client room, we have a photograph, and it was up there, and it was two colours, and it was a pink and a blue together. And you think that doesn't work. It really doesn't work. And the thing was, for me, I was just like, okay. And I kept on trying to persuade him off doing it. I was like, no, you can't, you know, don't do it. You know, it doesn't work. Anyway, and we were online and we're going back and forth. And he said, no, please. He said, will you fucking do the watch I want to do? The exact words. So I was like, shit, how do I do this? So we did it, and he came in and he gave me his business card. One side was pink, one side was blue. And I was like, oh, okay. And anyway, the whole thing, and I'd done a photograph for him of his watch, and I said, I actually like your watch. And now I like it even more because it's you. It's you on a plate. That watch is yours. And he goes to me, he goes, great. He said, now do another print of that. And he said, you've got to put it in your client room, and just always know that a customer wants what he wants. So the thing is, there is a customer for the ball, there's a customer for the Graham, there's a customer for
other ball. It's just elaborate
but there is a customer that loves the crown guard. You know, they get off with a nipple. I still want to find out what the nipple is.
We'll put it up on the iPad shortly.
But the thing is, what I'm saying to you is, this is customers. You know, I'm very pleased. If we were all the same, we would be wearing the same clothes, the same everything, and we'd be a clone of each other. Personalization, but individuality. When we talked a while ago about turning up at a watch meet and throwing all of the watches on, that's why we're different. Why certain people like certain watches, digital. You know, I love weird and wonderful.
And crown guards all have a very important reason for being in terms of their functionality. Some, exactly. So, but there's a lot of superfluous ones. As like I said, the irony is that the very functional crown guard of Illuminor is what attracted me in. And, you know, but now I'm at Adrian, what have you done? Okay.
Is that what you mean by nipple crown?
No. Let me search while you talk.
Just
I will show you.
Remember that
I'll pull it up.
Okay, Adrian. look. We've done therapy session, but Adrian, what's yours? Tell me what your bugbears, because I bet you're bringing quite a few bugbears to this kind of game.
Ways to illustrate it too.
I've bought I've bought examples. So there's a few things that really annoy me. I'm certainly in the camp of tourbillons. I understand why people do it, because it's a flex in watchmaking ability. There is no purpose to the tourbillon now, because it was invented to improve the accuracy of a pocket watch, which would be in a certain orientation for a very long time, whereas wristwatches move all the time. I'm going to go on.
Sorry, when you say that, for me, minute repeater, yes, I understand. Split second chronograph, I understand. A GMT chronograph, freaking hell, that's engineering. It's Tourbillon. I look at it and I go, yeah, great, but
no, and
apart from because I really love it and everyone hates it, and I really, really, really love it, is the Black Panther AP. Everyone hates it, and I freaking love that Tourbillon because I love the whole thing about it. But anyway, sorry.
No, I'm in that camp. I find an annual calendar. Perpetual calendar to be so much more impressive than a Tourbillon. But this is one of my bugbears is bronze cases. Now this actually does look rather nice, but I don't like the concept of bronze. I like the idea when a vintage watch has patinaed, not through a purpose, but through an engineering thing going wrong, paint cracking, loom dying. None of that was intended. Whereas bronze, you're buying a product that will certainly change in appearance. And I think if you're going to spend, I don't know what that's probably cost £6,000, £7,000. I want to buy something that is that right now.
So you're telling me you would prefer a shiny, glossy ceramic bezel to a beautifully ghosted, denim-y Tudor snowflake sub?
I would prefer the original.
You'd prefer it to be as it was, new old stock.
No, sorry.
Not ghosted bezel.
No, he likes the aging,
bezel,
but
I want it from the 80s.
Not forced aging.
Correct, yeah. I don't want to buy a product which is designed to patina.
So designed to
I love
rapidly
patina,
age as opposed to... Yeah,
exactly. And also, the bronze watches can go really quite nasty, and I think that's...
There's a French word for it. What is it? Verd. There's when they say the greening of a bronze watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's another bugbear is where we inject French words that mean exactly this. When we have, it's like Tourbillon's fine because the translation is different. But I don't understand why we have to make things sound so fucking pretentious and sexy by
for
just
that very reason.
Yeah, but it's green. Let's not call it.
But look, I'm going to.
What's the French word for nipple? Because I've got one for you.
Okay, now I'm pleased to hear. Okay, what? Oh, okay. I didn't think that was a
That's
nipple
one of the
dart.
crowns that
but
I love the most.
This is vintage. It's on the tank.
It's a tank.
It's a Cartier tank.
That's
And
such a sexy crown, though.
I love that little gem in the end. I think it's
the
kind
nipple of the nipple of the breast.
That's favorite part.
Yeah.
Honestly, no. I call bullshit on that.
I'm sorry. I'm on this camp.
I'm really sorry. Look,
let me just get back on the therapist couch over here.
I mean, like, that's bullshit.
Most
crowns,
I've got mummy issues.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, you definitely have that. Okay, but look, I can say to you, I don't agree with you about bronzing. I kind of like bronzing, but I also like that watch because I think to myself is the limited edition with brands like this IWC Mr. Porter, I think are going to be the future collectibles. I think if you see it, something like that coming up in auction, Andrew, you've done it with the Time and Tide Night Surfer. Can't do it right, can I? But you're doing it with that no one surfs at night in Australia, as I got told by you a few million times.
Unless they want to die.
Well, didn't you say that we're not here to...
Yeah, make love to spiders.
Sorry, no, say it properly right.
We're not here to fuck spiders, mate.
So that's where you said it to me, and I think that's one of the mottos of this thing. But... these limited editions, I think, are damn cool. This Hoodinky's Skipper,
you're not over. You're not over limited editions yet, is what you're saying.
No, what I would say to you is, and so this is where I'm looking at something like this, is I think that they will be the future pieces that will come up into a Phillips and Christie's.
Well, they're all short runs.
You know,
we might feel like we're
they're
getting
known.
fatigued, but-
They're known short runs, and they will be. I'm putting money behind it because I'm buying. Those are the only ones that I'm buying. I want to have a limited edition that is a collaboration or because I think to myself there's a finite amount of them ever made. These are back to the old kind of like, the hands were different, or this was done for, like the original IWCs or things like, or even like there was a quartz IWC, that was a sterling silver case, and there was only 2 of them in the world. Now that for me is one of those things that can knock the socks off any other piece, because there is only 2 of them in the world. It is that rare thing. So that's why I love something like that.
Yeah, and I want to make clear, I'm just talking about the bronze case.
Yeah.
And I am 100%, and limited edition watches get a lot of hate. People say, it's just, you're only buying it because it's limited edition. Yeah, exactly. Because this is typically this goes for all watch brands, not just IWC. This is a very traditional, conservative designed watch, yet this is made more fun. And I'm completely in the camp of, I'm all game for limited edition watches. I think it's a fun opportunity.
Do you mind if I choose a side?
Please do.
Okay,
Please don't.
I'm
As
actually-
long as it's my side, then you're very welcome.
Unfortunately, I'm not with the host on this one. There's a couple of reasons I like bronze. I do find it's distressing, and I think it can sometimes be really quite, it's a shock sometimes how alive a bronze watch is.
Yeah.
But that's why I like it. To me, it gives you an accelerated sense of what watches can do, which is age with you and personalized to you. When I got the Tudor Black Bay Bronze from the opening at the Melbourne boutique, I must have had quite greasy fingers that night, because as I was showing it to people, I put my thumb on a certain point, and then over weeks and weeks and weeks, my actual fingerprint remained in its exact form on a link. And I just thought, that's what I love about watches.
But it's yours.
It's personalized. It's aging with me in an accelerated way, because not all watches are going to be around for 30 or 40 years to tell the story of you with a ghosted bezel or other things. So I actually find that quite attractive. But the best thing about a bronze watch is you can restore it back to new. So if there's a point where it's become, because I do find some alloys, the Oris alloy, distresses me so much, because the degeneration, if we can say, or the transformation of this material is so rapid and it's so extreme that you end up with something that doesn't even resemble. It's like a beautiful woman that ages at 10 times the rate. Because the original cotton candy ones were so beautiful in that stabilized gold tone.
Yeah.
And then the cotton candy in that dirty bronze ultimate sort of result is, to me, I just found it upsetting.
But it's also
and that's what I dislike.
But you can bring it back, is my point. So it's kind of this magical
But
thing.
there
With
was
a bit of toothpaste. Is that what we did?
Yeah, toothpaste and a toothbrush.
Yep.
But there is also, I remember the magnesium cased Hublot. Ultra light, ultra amazing. But when you got it near salt water, it started kind of disintegrating. Wow. Now, not officially, there is all this hearsay and all the things. And it's one of those watches, but the understanding that you can't bring it back to where it was. Mm-hmm. I'm on the thing of, I like bronze. I understand why you don't like bronze, but I feel like I need to bitch slap you, because I'm just like,
that seems so loving. It was like a really good moment that ended in sheer violence.
But I'm like, come on.
That's how it is here.
It is, yeah.
But no,
It's
but
a
I
roller coaster.
do feel, because there is something about it. I also like the idea it's not gold. This is the thing of where I look at original materials. I think steel, gold, all those things are slightly boring, and it's like, here's another steel watch, or here's a this, or here's a that. Where I feel like using new materials, doesn't matter if it's old materials, but coming back into it, I think it's a cool thing.
Silver as well.
And that was exactly where my feeling was when bronze came out as being the next hot thing. I thought, awesome, this is interesting. Absolutely, a nice transition from titanium, steel, and gold, which is commonly done.
I like titanium.
I'm a fan of titanium as well.
You know what's less common though? Australian gin.
Boom! 4 Pillars. You just got on to. Thank you, 4 Pillars. You guys rock.
You know what we forgot to do
Champions.
last time is ask the question from the founder.
I thought you purposely did that because you were
got
very
drunk.
keen on moving forward. So 4 Pillars have kindly sponsored this season of our podcast.
Yes.
And the owner of 4 Pillars, the founder, is a keen watch enthusiast.
Yep.
Come on.
And has given us...
Okay, drink break.
So this is if you were to go out in your
love
city,
this
whether
one.
that's Singapore, London, Paris, you will find this gin everywhere, which is the rare dry gin. This is their original gin, and it has. I incorrectly stated at one point that there's not much juniper. Well, there is juniper in this gin. Otherwise, the founder said, otherwise it would just be weird tasting vodka. So we need juniper, but we slather that flavor in Australian botanicals, and this is
Honestly, this is amazing.
very different flavour.
What's the question?
the question is.
Because I freaking love these questions because
Yeah,
they do make you think.
The question
That's
is:
delicious.
Is micro brands a fad?
Oh,
Crikey, that is nice.
I'm going to say no.
Yeah, absolutely no.
I'm saying no.
Cool. But I do feel that is... we have no context to those answers, so I think that
That's
could
it.
very easily be a whole episode of let's discuss micro brands.
So
That's lovely. Cheers,
Okay,
guys.
back
Yeah.
at it.
thank you, Matt.
Adrian, what's your next bugbear? Because I don't want to hear about nipples again.
I just like to keep the tone high. You know, it's just.
And actually, carrying on from that micro brand thing, I am, and this is annoying because George has the. All right, I'll ruin the magic. These aren't my watches; these are George's watches.
What, really?
Okay, they're my watches.
Take this or
I'm
take
going to
it.
use this as an example of a vintage-inspired dive watch because that's exactly what it is. But this is a very nice one because it's Omega, and they have a long heritage of vintage dive watches. But I am done with micro brands bringing out vintage-inspired dive watches. I am inundated with emails from watch brands saying, "Oh, can you review our dive watch? It has a curved sapphire crystal. It has a thin bezel. It has this. It's only 39 millimeters because that is groundbreaking." No, it's fucking not. I'm bored of that shit. I didn't even look at the pictures. I don't care. Give me something else. So I am absolutely done with. Unless you have legitimate history, there is no need to get on that bandwagon. That ship sailed. I'm done with it. But
Okay, I think they've gone to the wrong region of eras of time.
Right.
I want to see the 70s, 80s, the time when they let the kind of people in the Looney Asylum out to design watches. I want to see
Super
that.
compressors just
I want
wall
to
to
see
wall.
that world coming back. For me, look, I love this, and there was a reason. There was a love-hate, but I really did. I brought it. I put money down to buy this watch.
I just want
So-
to be clear. Once again, I love this. This is
But
killer. I'm just using this
Omega
as a
is
visual.
dropping the mic on doing a vintage
yes,
inspired
yeah,
piece,
yes.
and you can either go vintage inspired or you can do what GP did or Jared Perigo, and they did a reinterpretation of the past, and I think that's clever because they've done it in ceramic. They did a next stage on from the casquette, but on something like this, I'm slightly bored of the eras that they're going to. They're delving into eras where I kind of love where someone like IWC, even AP are coming back more 80s. They're kind of going, hey, look, this is some really good stuff.
Yeah, the PSR.
Do you know what I mean? Is they're coming back.
The PRX. So they're sort of bringing that era of design.
Yeah.
To the
Do you know what I
people.
mean? Is there's some really cool things coming out of that design. And I think that's where I think it's clever. I think it's very much this era of design kind of talks to my father, where those things, it's like bringing back the F40 and it's bringing back, some real kind of like, I don't know, even like Lamborghinis, back to the kind of like real kind of like mad batshit crazy stuff.
Yeah.
And that's where I kind of think they've got to trawl that type, because I don't mind these reinterpretations, but I'm just like, I'm slightly bored because they're being schooled by Baltic. They're being schooled by,
Yes, exactly.
those brands. They are being schooled already. Oh, and this is a micro brand. They're being schooled by them. So I'm just like, okay, pull out from something else. Go to some batshit crazy place.
Question, Adrian.
Please.
Yesterday we talked about Baltic.
Mm-hmm.
You've just described their brand and said you don't like it.
So, no,
I loved it yesterday.
But Baltic killed it. Baltic did
Exactly.
a great job. Everything that they did.
They were first. Or
They were
first.
They were one of the first watches that I borrowed from a watch company. And that's going back
And they let
probably
you?
4 years. Yeah, I'm a good liar. I'm not a wife. What are we talking about, Baltic? Yeah, so Baltic killed it. And I kind of feel like when something is done well, and Steve Jobs, what did I do?
Nothing. He's reaching for a card. That means one thing. By the way, listeners, we have a visual gag in our podcast. Okay, let him go. Sorry, Adrian. I broke you.
Fucking boring.
I broke your concentration.
I've got to take the watch away from,
Please.
the card.
What? Are you talking about Baltic or me?
No, I'm just, I'm falling asleep now. Come on.
Oh, fuck you, George.
I'll jump in. You know what? Putting that watch down there triggered me because I didn't have a second one. Put the watch back there. I'm not taking aim at Amiga.
So
again.
I want to finish on the
finish?
Baltic thing. So Steve Jobs had a great idea when running Apple. His idea was if someone else is doing a brilliant job at it and we can't better it, we're not going to do it. And that's exactly why Steve Jobs didn't create a Photoshop, why Steve Jobs stopped creating a rival to Lightroom. If you can't beat them, stop it. And that's what I feel about vintage divers. Baltic killed it. There's no need to try.
I would agree about Baltic. I think for myself I totally
just
agree.
curious. I was just curious.
I think Baltic has done a bloody good job. There's some brands that are trying to jump on that bandwagon, and you've almost got to go bigger or go home.
Yes,
exactly. And that's the thing is stop kind of copying something unless you're going to do something that's cooler colors or crazier thing.
Yeah. I think we've been negative for long enough.
Can I get to what triggered me just quickly? It's a really quick thing.
No.
Hey, everyone. It's so short, Adrian, I promise. Don't put NATOs on maxi case Rolexes. That's it. Just don't do it.
Yeah. Don't.
That's just a no, isn't it? Is that a no?
Well, there's an annoying thing as someone who has quite a bit of experience with NATO straps. Rolex are really fucking annoying with their cases. They aren't Grand Seiko, and they don't finish things that you can't see. And so if you remove the bracelet on your Rolex, you'll see a very, very sharp case.
Oh, yeah.
And it destroys straps. I think Rolex do that purposely.
But they're not meant to be strap-packed maxi cases, are they?
But
the Explorer 2 looks fucking gorgeous on a NATO strap.
Yeah. But do you know, so instantly you can see that watch I took straight off the strap and I put it on a NATO because I was just like,
it works. Yeah.
It works. It kind of, I wanted that Bond villain type thing. I loved the black and orange together. And it was just one of those things. I was just like, that watch suits that instantly. And you'll see there's a dent on the back where I changed the strap over because I know I've already made a mark on the watch. And, the thing is, some watch I keep on the standard, but these are the other things. Okay, look, we've talked about bugbears, and I'm just talking about a little bit of a bugbear. There is something else you wanted to bring, but there is a bugbear, but not a bugbear, or
the positives. Things we love.
I'd like to, and George, you've kind of lent on something that I really enjoy at the moment, and that's brands doing. It's not something different. But I feel like the era's changed. People are moving away from the typical dive watches, and they're moving into more of the integrated bracelet. Yeah. And I'm really enjoying the hype moving away from the Nautilus and the Royal Oak. Girard-Perregaux getting a lot of limelight, Vacheron getting a lot of limelight, and things like Tissot and the PRX. That's killing it. I saw a dude on the train on the tube the other day with a PRX on. I thought I didn't ask him if he was a watch guy, but it'd be awesome if this brand has gone into the non-watch community.
Do you know, slightly, and you brought up Tissot, what was interesting is I was talking to someone about a Tissot, and he had a Tissot on his wrist, and I picked it up, and I remember the touch time. Right. The original Tissot, and I remember that first coming out, and I was
the T-Touch.
T-Touch, yeah, T-Touch. There we go.
That's it.
Don't touch, but do touch. And I remember seeing that first watch and I was like, I really like this watch. I loved the idea of it. I loved all those things. And it was when I was starting kind of like 2000, I think it was. So this was kind of millennium, kind of partying your socks off. But I remember seeing it on someone's wrist and going, that's freaking cool. Seeing Tissot now, you know, you look at old vintage racing cars, they had Tissot signs on them. There was a real... Now, if I got rid of the brand on that Tissot, but the quality of it is so fucking cool. They've done a bloody good thing. The problem is my mind goes, Tissot, I'm not going to touch it. And I don't know why. And it really annoys me because this guy handed it to me and he said, isn't this an amazing watch? And, you know, I showed it to the watchmakers and everything. This is a serious watch. But my problem is I can't get over the heritage that happened there, and I think that's where you have to clean. They're gonna do it, but they're gonna clean the past.
But you've got to be re-educated too, because that watch derives from an era-correct model. Yeah. So again, that's not a cynical, opportunistic, integrated steel sports watch grab. It reminds us.
But the quality is so good.
The quality's good, but it's the legitimacy is there. It's just that Tissot have been mainstream commercial for so long that when they pull something a little less commercial from the archive, it's a bit of a about face.
Yeah.
Can I point to something that you just touched on there, which is democratization? This is what I'm loving at the moment, because at the high end of watchmaking, Patek, AP, obviously the horse is bolted in some ways. Those watches are just largely so unattainable that they've lost perhaps interest for people.
Rarity.
Indies, the same. You've got some brands now, you know, that are just reaching a level of unattainability that's on a par. You have MB&F. They could be spending, they have precious time and energy to spend, and they could spend a lot of their time with the rich getting richer, and with MB&F pulling away even further from the pack. They have spent enormous time, energy, marketing, product development, playfulness, turning a Miyota upside down with the Mad One. And I am just so on board. I think it's frustrating for many because a lot of people put their names down and didn't win the raffle, and there's, you know, not everyone's going to win that. But Max Busser didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
They could have spent more time getting richer because they're in an absolute zeitgeist mode, and they spent an enormous amount of time trying to bring 1,500 of their watches to people that would never be able to get it. And I think that is unreal, in the same way that I think the PRX is unreal. And the last comment about democratization is Dan Henry. This is a super divisive watchmaker from Brazil who can't wear his watches out on the streets because it's too dangerous. He has a collection that would make your eyes bleed. So he makes effectively inspired pieces.
I also like the packaging as well.
The packaging's very clever for the price, and he does this at $250, $260 US, and takes little to no margin, has one employee who does all the he does the socials and design development and so on. And the other person does all the logistics. 2 people make Dan Henry watches. They've sold over 50,000. Yeah. So they're not even a micro brand. But again, this democratization of vintage watches that are now unattainable. I feel that this is a good-hearted thing from Max Busser down to Dan Henry. And again, that's not a hierarchy. It's just in terms of price point. And then PRX in the middle. This is a great move.
Yep.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the coming back of the brands, and those things like Dan Henry. When I first saw
these are watches you can buy,
as
opposed to watches you can't.
I'm undecided about Dan Henry. I bought one of their watches to do a video on because everyone's been raving on about it, and I was just like, I've got a video title in mind.
You haven't published this video?
No, I haven't recorded it
not
yet.
Daring to.
And which one did you buy? The last one?
I can't remember what I bought now. I bought it about 8 months ago, and I thought, oh, that's it.
Okay. We're not going to spoil your thing.
$250. It's the same price as a Moonswatch.
Yeah. Exactly.
But the Moonswatch is legit.
I was surprised you bringing in Dan Henry. But I liked the packaging. I liked the idea of the watch. I like the where it's made. There was a few things I'm like, there is some really cool stuff with Dan Henry.
The movement's fine for the money. So yeah.
But I think, yes, we've gone all quiet on this. Shall we move on?
Let's move on.
It's about fucking time we moved on.
I feel
see
like
3 similarities across those examples.
Have you done a positive, George?
I think I've been positive all the way
I
through.
do feel like
I'm like the cheerleader for the mad, crazy, batshit,
And,
whatever they
You
are.
like bronze,
Beautiful
you like
cheerleader you are.
nipples.
I like everything. I like everything. No,
Your sentiment, I love this sentiment, and I think it's important that people understand that we are speaking our opinion, and
Yes.
this is what makes watch collecting fun. You only have to go to a watch meetup to see which are the interesting watches, and you don't have to like the interesting watch to the point of being part of your collection. I have very boring watches.
Yeah.
All of my watches are boring. I know that. I'm wearing a fucking white t-shirt and jeans and boots. That is me. But I love going to the watch meetups and seeing the weird
and
dials.
asking the question.
Hearing the story.
Always ask, why did you buy that? What was
Yeah.
the reason? I go across rooms to go and see someone's weird watch. And the reason is because I want to know the story. I want to know
Yeah.
what made you buy that? What was the story behind it? And that's where I kind of think some of these stories, why bronze? You've already gone, hey, I like the bronze because it's got my fingerprint. I like this
Yes.
because of this. That's why I can
And
never
you can't
judge.
argue with that.
Yeah.
I can't take away from that. It's because I get it.
This is a very simple episode. It's just bloodletting.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's very subjective.
But
It
the,
is, yes.
but the thing is that each person can have their opinion, and they can also turn up with something. I'm just like, don't be bloody boring. That's the only thing. Don't turn up with something.
sorry, George.
No, but there's a reason. There's a reason, and there's a reason why you have those watches.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
when I'm saying to you is, hey, I'm turning up with something that everyone else has got. Fine, but tell me why you've got it, not, hey, it goes up in value. Well, bullshit.
Yes,
Get on
yes,
from that.
yes.
There's a reason why you like this watch is because of this, and there's a you can back into it.
Yeah.
Then I'm like, yeah, cool. You're fine.
George, I love you. I do.
Thank you. I love you too.
What about me, Andrew?
No, I'm focused on George right now because I'm about to insult him deeply, which is why I started with the compliment. It's called a shit sandwich, maybe. No, I'm going to end with a nice thing too. George, you are at a very different point in your watch journey to 100% of, well, 99% of the people listening.
For everyone else, George is getting a card lined up.
Yeah, this is like he's setting sights. He's just getting his sights
dialing
set
the
on
sight
me.
in.
Exactly. No, George, we must call this out. You have you it's on your 16th birthday. You get like a 1957 Breitling Navitimer.
For 300 quid. But
Okay. Yep. But no, you started at a point most people don't, and you have had an extraordinary career in watches. You have had in your possession and through your hands every single Rolex model, I would imagine. You have owned probably every single Rolex model. What happens when you actually live the dream and you are able to access some of the hardest to get watches, some of the most desirable watches, is you end up in a place still seeking novelty when most novelty, like a bit of chewing gum, has been chewed up and spat out on the ground. So I just want to finish with this. You are post everything. You're post Patek, you're post AP, you're post Rolex, and you've ended at a point where your podcast sums it all up. You just seek the novelty and the odd and the curious and the quirky, because I give a fuck, he says, holding up a card. Thank you. Card. You do, and we do love you for it. I do. But please let us acknowledge that Adrian sitting here in 5 years will probably not be wearing the watches he's wearing. I, in 5 years, will not be wearing. I'd be very surprised if we sat here in 5 years you're still wearing the Explorer 2. I almost think it's certain that you won't.
I don't agree with you because I think to myself is that, well, firstly, I don't agree. I think you will still have those watches and you still be proud of them because they've inherently.
I'll have them, but I won't be wearing them.
But you will be. There's certain things that I'm proud of. But my education turned, when I lived in New York, I used to go to flea markets and trade watches. So I didn't have money in the sense of like, oh my God, I had serious amounts of cash. I didn't. I was a student in New York, but I used to go and be like, that's a Prowploth. I want to trade that for this. And they weren't big money. So what was interesting, I started off with one watch and every weekend I'd go to different flea markets and trade that one watch for another watch so I could educate myself on these different things. And that's where I would say
don't mistake this. I'm not saying that it's your wealth that has created this
what I'm
opportunity.
saying to you is I am saying is come with something different, because it's not that it's just because I want someone to have an opinion that is their opinion and not something
reflective of them in some way.
Exactly, because you go and buy sneakers, you go and buy, and I'm saying that in an American way, but you go and buy some trainers, and it's you. You, Adrian, you are you. I mean, you have your own style. Even if you say, hey, I'm boring, I've got my white... No, you're not, because you have your own style. People connect to that style. The same with you, Andrew. But we talk about different people have their own style. Be yourself. Don't be the clone of someone else, because this is the thing, is that we've been in this world. You think about even businessmen. You think about how all these people back in the 50s wanted to be the clone of themselves, of the person that's sitting next to them, but then they were rocked up in a Cadillac, and that was them being expressive on the weekends. What we've now got to do is we clock different things on people. So be yourself, be crazy, don't be boring. And if you are, and I'm not saying boring because it isn't boring. I'm just saying is don't be the kind of clone.
I was going to say it. I feel
no, because you keep on saying you're boring, and I'm not. You're not.
No, I am. But George, well, I'd like to.
Can you wrap this up?
I've got one thing to say. One of you said in 5 years' time you're probably not going to be wearing this watch. Maybe not my Explorer 2, but genuinely in 5 years' time I will be wearing my Explorer 1.
I think you will.
I have been. Yeah. We have both all been in the position
record.
to try on lots of watches. I've worn £400,000 watches. I've worn Roger Smith, Pateks. I've had Nautilus, Rolex, everything on my wrist, and nothing comes close to this weird connection that I have with my Explorer. Nothing can beat it. So we are going to move on to. I actually don't have. So George, or one of you guys.
No. I'm putting you in the hot.
Let's just make it anecdotal. Tell us about an indie you love, because we're about to do a segment called.
Okay, so this is BYOIBIYEB. Bring your own independent. BYOI.
It's easy just to say it.
It is. And this is a segment where we highlight an independent and shine a bit of a spotlight. And as I've given a bit of bashing towards bronze, I'd like to highlight Oris, because Oris are an independent.
They are technically.
Yes. Perhaps not needing as big a spotlight shone on them as others.
I
think one thing that...
You love Oris.
I'm obsessed with Oris for two reasons. One, they are such an awesome brand in a world full of mega brands like Omega and Rolex.
They punch above their weight.
They punch way above their weight. But they were the first company to lend me a watch. And when I spoke to Rolf and said, do you need to sign off the video that I make about your watch, despite the fact it wasn't a paid for video, he said no. And it kind of goes back to your point of you can't take away from what other people like. And that was Rolf's point of, it doesn't matter if you dislike our watch. I'm not going to change what we do just because you dislike something about something we've made.
Can we look, for the people watching right now, you might think, well, what's the big deal? That's a big deal in this industry. And if it's about time, you show the watch. If it's about time we talked about anything, it's about the fact that is not the norm, is it, Adrian?
No, it
What's the
absolutely
norm?
is. Well, for me, it kind of is a norm, because if someone tries to dictate what I say, I tell them to fuck off. Literally. Yema tried to say, we have to see the video before we put it out. Fuck off, I'm not going to make a video now.
The other thing I would say is, we talked about some of the brands that really highlighted in Watches and Wonders. I loved that Oris gave everyone a jumper. I was jealous. I was jealous of that teddy bear jumper. I was like, I want a teddy. Honestly, guys, I want a teddy bear jumper. I don't know why I want it, but I want that teddy bear jumper.
Rolf Studer. Rolf, thank you for giving me 4. I took one for 8. Marcus, our producer, is nodding, because I asked for one for my daughters, because I didn't want to give mine back and trade it. But I said, my daughters are just going to love this. And I sent him a picture of my daughters in the teddy bear jumper. Thank you, Rolf. So Rolf's
a dude.
Just throw it down.
Fuck off.
He's a little jealous. No, Rolf is a great human being.
Yeah, Rolf's
and
a dude.
He actually leads that business from the top with a values base that he's a great guy. And that's the sort of nice thing he does. And again, there was no expectation of coverage or anything.
No, but what it did do is all the journalists that turned up on watching.
Didn't you get one?
No, I'm not a journalist.
Oh, forget this.
I mean, like, sorry guys, but I'm not part of the inner circle of Sanctum Sanctorium.
Nor am I, don't worry.
But the thing, and it's also grey, so I'm not a grey person on the.
Marl? You've got to make love to Marl.
No, grey. I have this thing about grey, but anyway. But what I would say is, it doesn't matter. It was one of those things, like the Breitling thing, like this Oris Teddy was just such a clever thing. It's such a clever thing because you associate that Teddy, the relaunch and bringing that Teddy back. Just such a clever because
having that visual gag or having that mascot. It's very clever.
It really is because you can instantly tell. I'm pleased you brought Oris because it is a brand that I think is awesome. I think they've got, you know, great build quality, they're a good watch. They are, and this is what I'm saying to you about being different, is something on Oris is you can buy a bloody good watch for, you know, not huge amounts of money.
Yeah.
And you've got something that you know is trustworthy, you know that is bulletproof, you know, tick, 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 tick.
Can we do this? Favorite Oris ever?
Oh.
Deep breath from me.
Mine's recently changed. It's the big Pilot. No, the Pro Pilot X. After they've relaunched it as the 38, 39mm version, in some weird way, it makes me appreciate the X, the original Pro Pilot, more.
Which colour?
Well, the original one's just silver. Well, it's got a skeletonized dial.
Oh, that's the one you like, not the new ones with.
Yes, it's the older one.
Yeah.
But I love the new ones as well. Awesome colours. What about you?
Diver 65.
Yep.
Carl Brashear in bronze.
Yes.
That was just to me. There are some bronze mic drops. The Bronzo by Panerai with the original dial, the green dial, the moss green dial. I was seeing that on someone's wrist on a minibus to Basel. And I just fixated on this so hard. And it's just, you know, when you see it on like you talked about it just burned into my memory because there was already some burnishing of the bronze with that olive. And this is a green dial that was on trend 6 years later. So they were way ahead of the trend with an olive style dial. Absolutely stunning. Cool. But yeah, the Brashear was an absolute winner. And it was really early in the bronze. It was before the new Bronze Age. So kudos to them.
So I'm gonna show how bad I am on this. Is I don't know the reference of it, but when I was first really introduced to Oris was Williams Racing Team, and when they did the Williams Racing Team watch, and it was all of their partnership with Williams, and I just was like, there was something crushing on this because I just thought this brand going into Williams doing something. I just thought actually this was really clever, and when it was one of the Grand Prix, and I saw the watch, and I was just like, yeah, actually, this is cool. This is ages ago their sponsorship of Williams, and I just went, actually, I really like that. So that for me would be one. I don't know why, and you can question me on design, you could question me on all these things, but it was just the first time I went, oh, hello.
That really proves that sporting partnerships work, huh?
That's a topic for another episode.
But it made me remember that watch. I don't know why, and it made me say, oh, hello to Oris. And it was the first time I went down a little bit of a rabbit hole of going, oh, shit, I need to know about this brand.
Speaking of motorsports, we can click off our Hoya timer because I think we're near the end.
Yeah, I think that's a wrap. Guys, thanks so much for listening, for watching. If you like what we're doing, subscribe. If you want to leave us some feedback,
please don't.
No, do. We always love feedback. It's George at about time.
.net.org.au.
We haven't got emails yet.
It's about time we left, I think.
Yeah, it's about time we left.
Okay, bye.
Love you guys. Bye.
Bye.